So this is the final part of the active menu item unpaid scroll feature written in JavaScript. So all the primary questions have been answered, and so this is really the summary. So the summary is that all the values or variables that are being used are being compared against each other as you scroll, which can be observed in the console.log. So if we're supposed to come back over here, we have the initial set of values that are console.logged, which is what is done here. So this is done outside of the function, out of the scroll active function. So when it loads initially, you see all of the information. So all of these values you're seeing is the this is done in pixels. So section top. So if you look at the home section, this is offset top, which is the top position of the element in question. So of course, the top element for the home section is going to be 0 because it starts at the very beginning at the page. But then as you go down, this is the top part of the about section, which would be right here. We have the pink, which is the about. Then we have this blue, which would be the about section. So yeah, and we do that for each other section. Then all of that is console.log. But as you scroll, we see the scroll Y position for value change. So currently it's at 800. But if I scroll some more, the scroll Y position is now 1100. So all those values are changing and updating in real time. If I scroll all the way back up, notice that the scroll bar position is now at 0. So yeah, so that's basically right. So the next part is that the logical AND operator essentially creates a range between these values or variables that are being compared and that are constantly changing. Once you enter out of one range, you enter into another range. So in other words, that range would be the section. So let's say once you enter out of the home range or section, you enter into the about range or section. And so at any moment in time, only one section's range can be true and have the same active class. Now, more than one section cannot be true at the same time. There are different versions of the condition or if statement that could be written, but it ends up applying the active menu class on every navigation menu item as you scroll on the page. The condition would be if scroll Y is greater than section top. It adds it to every navigation item menu because scroll Y or scroll bar will be greater than section top if you scroll down enough. It's always greater because we minus or subtract 1 from section top as stated earlier in this document. Otherwise, they would both have the same value. So, if I came to the code and I was supposed to remove the logical AND operator and what's to the right of it, as stated before, it's going to then apply the active class to every single navigation menu item. So by default, it's at home, but as a scroll, it applies it to about and to services and to features and to partners and to contact. We don't want that. So you know, just as I explained it, it's the same thing that happens. It applies it to everything. Because as you scroll deeper down, what ends up happening is that the scroll Y position is always going to be greater than section top. And remember, we minus 1 from section top. If you didn't minus it, both the scroll Y value or scroll bar and the section top would essentially be the same. So yeah, notice how it keeps on adding it. But that's not what you want. So if we add it back, and it only applies it once to each respective section. And it does that. And it essentially what it does is creates a range.